Hello and welcome to a slightly unusual episode of Tales from the Midnight Diary. For those of you who don't know, welcome to the channel. My name's Gemma and I am the dyer and designer behind the Midnight Diary yarns and patterns, both knit and crochet. I work from my home studio kitchen here in Kent in the southeast of England, and I love yarn. And that's kind of why this video is here. I was very lucky to be asked to be brand ambassador for Stationery Geek. Website down here, down there, all the usual places. It's not a paid promotion. They just send you some stuff and you can review it, use it, give it away. The idea, the hope obviously is that you will talk about it, and I'm going to, because I was utterly delighted with what I was sent. As I said, this isn't a paid promotion. I haven't been paid to give glowing reviews. This is going to be my honest experience. So a while ago, in July, I received my goodies from Stationery Geek and I prepared a little unboxing video, and when I came to edit it today to pop it on the front of this vlog, I realised that the sound was not particularly clean. So I'm going to flash some footage up in a moment of me unwrapping these bits and bobs, possibly some clean footage. The reason for this video is one of the products they sent me was a stash inventory record keeper. So it's a lovely spiral bound notebook with space for 100 different yarns. And one of the things I love best about it, apart from the fact it's got lots of space for all sorts of relevant information, is that the fact that they have got hole punched holes, I guess, for you to put a little strand of your yarn into your catalogue, so you're not still thinking, oh, but what colour is it and does it go with X, Y and Z? Now, having a hole punched hole is all well and good. It only works if you've got decent cardstock, and that is what Lucy and the team have provided. It's really firm cardstock. Your yarn is not going to pull out of it. And I knew once I received this that I couldn't put it off any longer. It was time to face my stash. So I invite you to come on a slightly haphazard vlog style journey with me through the 10 hours it took me to go through all the yarn. I mean, it took me a while to find all the yarn first of all. And in the end, my husband had surrounded me with boxes. I was penned in on the living room floor, which is fine, but I don't have much movement at the moment. And so I couldn't lean over and grab things. So what we eventually decided to do was tip all the yarn on the floor. And I ended up among a yarn mountain. So I invite you to come and help me sort my stash. Have a look at what it is I've got stashed. There are lots of questions along the way that I ask you. I would love for you to interact with them in the comments and help have a really nice conversation about this. I'd love to learn about your stash habits, or if you don't stash, why that is. I think it becomes quite clear during the course of this video just how I've ended up in the predicament I'm in. But not to worry, because I have sped it up quite significantly. You are not going to be treated to 10 hours of me painstakingly cataloguing every skein. But if you want a nosy at my stash and to find out about my habits and why I buy them, and to talk about your own and to see this stash inventory tracker for yourself, then please do watch along and I hope you enjoy. Don't forget, you can get 10% off site-wide at stationery-geek.co.uk by using my code MidnightsFriends10. There is no expiry date on that. And yeah, I hope that you enjoy. I absolutely love the product. No spoilers there. Otherwise, I wouldn't have spent 10 hours of my life on a Sunday using it, frankly. So yeah, enjoy. Yeah. Hello, hello, hello. Excuse the slightly bedraggled look. Hang on, I've got you the wrong way up. There we are, that's the right way for vlogging. So excuse the slightly bedraggled look. What I'm doing today means I'm going to get quite hot, and there's absolutely no point putting on makeup or putting in any sort of effort. Besides, you're not here to see me this week, you are here to see the gorgeous yarn in my stash. Excuse the wobble cam. I'm trying to hold my arm steady, but it's not really working. So today I'm going to be using my new stash record from Stationery Geek that you saw at the top of this episode, or if I've done it separately, reveal video and then this, then I'll pop some footage in as well. So the thing that I love about this book that Stationery Geek sent me, they chose for me, I think they guessed quite well, is that you have little punch holes in the book that you can tie a little bit of your yarn through. So it's not just a case of writing it down and then coming back thinking, what does that look like? You've actually got it there. So yeah, my husband is currently bringing down all my stash from the bedroom and because I need to go through it ahead of the baby arriving and have a sort out. Don't think I'm having a destash this time. I've destashed quite a lot. This is what's left after multiple destashes. Yeah, I'll just swing you around. Hang on. Actually, I'll do that in a minute. I'll do B-roll. So yeah, if you can hear lots of grunting and shuffling, that's my husband bringing down the boxes at the moment. Yeah, there's quite a few. It's not just boxes, there are bags and baskets. I might have a yarn problem. Okay, so here we have the book in question. I also love, because I'm a bit of a geek myself, the use of colour in stash, because isn't it our stashes that bring colour and joy to our lives? Everything else is sort of, you know, grey, but this kind of really represents for me what yarn is and what yarn does. Right, okay, so now to show you the scale of my problem. I mean, we're blocking out the light here from my window. So this is after destashes. And actually one of these bags, I think this one, has yarn in that I was considering destashing anyway. But it didn't sell in my last destash. So, but everything else, you know, was a gift or has a story or has a project planned. So it doesn't feel like I'm just mindlessly hoarding. So yeah, I'll get the tripod set up. I will get coffee morning set up because I'm going to be starting this job while in coffee morning. Possibly with a little furry helper. Oh, is he going to eat your chicken? We can't have that, can we? Go and protect your dinner. Go and actually eat something. Yeah, so I may be helped as we go. Anyway, wish me luck. So at this point I am now completely surrounded by boxes of yarn. The scale of the job that I have to do is starting to sink in. The good news is this isn't all my stash. I've actually got yarn for the shop that I run as well, for projects for that. So I've got to decide whether or not I'm going to count that. Okay. So what I've got to decide is whether or not I go through my stash first and organise it by weight, or if I just go through it box by box and try and sort it out. I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed, if I'm honest, by the size of my stash. Okay, so as you can see, I've filled up a page, and this is my chunky yarn. I don't tend to have much chunky yarn, I got this for a sweater, but I realised I'm probably not going to make it, so I gave it to my friend Ali. So I've still got 3 balls in stash. These greys are for a blanket for my bed. That has been planned for ages, and this one is for Kit's Christmas Eve blanket. I've already done Mia's, but I was just looking at this. There are 5 cards per, well, five slots per card, and there are 20 cards. That only gives me 200. There is a real possibility I'm going to need to buy another one. I'm still feeling fairly overwhelmed because when I sorted out my stash before, if I just, oh sorry, fingers over the screen. When I sorted out my stash before, I actually sorted it out by kind of yarn, not just weight, but type. So for example, there's a box over there. This box has a mix of yarn weights in because those are yarns actually already earmarked for a project. But if I'm doing this stash, I would quite like to do it by weight. So I'm now facing going through and sorting out all the boxes, which is going to be interesting. I'm also not sure what to do with part balls because I have in the Aran, which would be my next one, I have a part ball of Unicorn Threw Up on Christmas from Truly Hooked, which I've got because I was designing a hat. So I think this is children's size, I think. I don't know. But yeah. So I don't know what to do. I think I'll have to get the scales out and go through and weigh those. So I've taken a different tack because I'd organised my boxes by project rather than by weight. And so now we've got, I've got all the yarn out. This is no less overwhelming. Yep. Okay, so I'm just checking in. We've tipped all the boxes out as I showed you a few minutes ago. And what I'm doing is making sure that I haven't missed any more chunky. As it happens, I had, where's the book? And so I'm on to my second page for my chunky. But in doing so, I'm trying to sort the yarn out into piles. And it's not really going very well because all that's happening is I'm becoming buried. So you've got 4 plies sort of here. There's Aran here. This mountain is DK, and this is what I've yet to go through. So, whoops. Oh, I got on a wonk. Oh, so I'm really not sure what to do next. How to go about sorting it out. Oh, there are also some yarns that I don't know the weights of. So they're yarns I got in Yarn Swap, which was fun. So I'm going to have to do the ruler trick. And I showed some people this at the shop I work at the other day, and they were like, "Oh my god, that's amazing!" And I thought it was common knowledge, so I will do the ruler trick for you shortly. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. Oh, so I think I'm going to put lace weight in this bag, just to keep it separate. And I've got DK. I've got a few different bits of lace. I think that's actually it, I think. And yeah, just trying to lean. It's actually getting very uncomfortable now. So I'm glad I haven't left this any longer to do. But yeah, I mean, I'm discovering some really lovely things. I think I knew I had them all. But for example, seeing them all together, like look at this one, for example. If I dig these out, I've buried a lot of them now, hang on, is some of my fibre punk collection, which is just, I adore fibre punk. He's such a lovely guy, and it's really nice to see these and look forward to making with them again. All right, folks, so this is where we've got to. That bag there is organised, that's the Aran, and that's all Aran up there. The chunky is out in a box of its own. So the next thing to do is put the Aran in a box. I need to weigh some of my balls, but my scales are doing weird things. And then it's the DK 4-ply and whatever's over here to go through. I've been at this for 2.5 hours so far, but it's really nice to see what I've got. And the good news is that lots of this actually has projects planned for it. So what I'll do is I'll go through afterwards and take some photos and share with you the yarn sort of in a nicer way rather than just what you're seeing at the moment. These skeins here actually have a plan. These are going to be a jumper, the campfire cardigan jumper, I think, for my husband. And I'm going to be putting it with, I bought pale blue, because he's claret and blue, West Ham fan, but he's actually chosen the grey to go with it. So I feel quite good in that some of this yarn actually has plans. This one also has a plan. It's my friend Jackie's 70th birthday in February, and she requested a cable jumper that she fell in love with. Well, she didn't request it, but she said she'd like it when I offered to do it. And she fell in love with it in an issue of Knit Now magazine last year. And so now I've got until February to get her beautiful cable jumper done. I am determined to get this done. Mind you, I took this on before I knew I was going to be having a baby. Last year I made Magnus a really sweet jumper by Megan Reagan, Bad Wolf Girl Sits and Knits. Unfortunately, some of the yarn I used decided it was going to shrink in the wash, so I'm thinking about doing him another jumper, in possibly an autumnal one in these two skeins that I happen to have here. All this yarn is Debbie Bliss Falkland Merino Aran. It is officially machine washable, but don't believe it because it does felt. It's super soft, 180 metres per 100 gram hank, so you get quite a lot of yarn for your buck. Now this is only available online now, although I happen to know a local yarn shop that has some in stock in the sale. So this was the ball that was destined for Alan's jumper. I'm thinking I might actually make a mini-me version for Pip, so this will still get some good use. Evie is another yarn that was discontinued, this time by the company itself, and I purchased this in the sale from my local yarn store. I've got 14 balls and it's earmarked for a jumper for me. Lots of people have said to me, this colour won't suit you, Gemma, you're too pale for it, but do you know what? I don't actually care. I love the colour and I love how soft the yarn is, so eventually I took the plunge and I bought 15 balls. Now these two are particularly special. These are Whistlebear Yeavering Bell. They're a hand-dyed yarn produced in small batches in Whistlebear, which is where Magnus is from, and these are going to be a colourwork hat design. And the final Aran going into this box is Barocco Weekend, which is an acrylic and cotton blend, and I picked it up thinking it might be a nice summer top for my mum. Box one done. So it's safe to say this is taking a little bit longer than I envisaged, but do you know what's so helpful is that I never have to dig through boxes again to find yarn for a project. I can just flick through here and see what I've got. I thought having this through the pages might make it a bit unwieldy, but actually it's fine. It doesn't seem to be affecting the book at all. My only thoughts at the moment are that it only gives you the option to put down the yards for the yarn, and I work in meters, so I think meters or yards would be good. And it doesn't give you any space to write down the fibre content, not in a dedicated space anyway. I'm doing all right. I'm just popping it in with the colour description. So this is like, I've now got space to start spreading things out, and this is the first time I've really sort of looked at my DK. Believe it or not, I knew most of what was in this stash already. So for example, these skeins here are actually a sweater for my friend Phil. And I think it was the end of last year I bought this yarn to make him a sweater. It's a colourwork sweater in the Croft DK. I'll show you the pattern. And so, yeah, again, it's another sweater. There's lots of big projects that I'm planning here. If we go up here, ouch, I've hurt myself with knitting needles. The Colour Lab is for a sweater for my nephew, whose birthday it was in the spring, in the summer, and I want him to have this for the autumn. The pink and kind of pale minty blue is actually destined for my goddaughter, who's going to have a little stripy hoodie. And this one is actually a work in progress. I'm not entirely sure where the other ball of yarn to go with it is, this one. But it was a blanket for my godson. This one doesn't have a project yet. I was thinking about doing something for my mum in it. It's actually a lot more kind of rosy pink than it's showing up here. Yeah, it's not coming up correctly at all. Also, I found hot water bottle, the things you find in stash. So it's interesting to sort of see, and the blue is for a jumper for my grandma. So there are lots of projects planned here. There are also projects that have gone wrong, which is interesting. So the Sublime Sophia, again, I got in the sale from my local yarn store. And I bought 3 balls with the idea of making something for my goddaughter. Now, this was back when she was still 3. She's nearly 5, which is 4.5 now. So that's missed the boat. These skeins balls I bought to do something for my daughter Lara in. Never got the chance. But it's so nice to actually have a look at what's in stash. So these ones were actually a yarn swap. And it's really exciting because there's Phenol, Hellisvorg and Hoylandsol. So yarns that are new to me, and I'm very, very excited to work with them. I think these two are going to go together and become a colourwork project. And this is yarn from my mum, who requested a cotton jumper that she saw in a magazine. So there's lots of plans here. Not a lot of action, but I'm going to start cataloguing them and we'll see how we go. Okay, time for a little status update. I am now almost halfway through my first Stash Ventry book. You can see lots of really pleasing bits of yarn hanging down there, and we go from chunky through to DK. Now I have almost finished my DK. Sorry, I'm getting lots of notifications now. I've almost finished the DK, and I believe I've done 9 pages. Let's just have a look. So let's see. So we start here. Got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right, so I've got 11 pages left. And one of the things that I'm noticing about this is I can't figure out the best way to showcase the hand-dyed yarns, because if you take something like this one, the piece of fibre I've cut off for it is one of the ties that comes with the yarn, and you can really see, I mean, I'm hoping it's just going to be enough to jog my memory. Maybe that's all I need. But so you can see a bit of the speckling. Sorry, I can't see because I've got something across it. You can see a bit of the speckling there if I move out of the way. But it's not really sort of showing off the detail and colours there. So I'm hoping that will jog my memory. So that in mind, I have, oh, I've got some more of my yarn there. I have something called Blanket Club, which is what I've purchased from Verity of Truly Hooked. It's a subscription, and what I'll do is I'll turn around the image in a minute. I'll take photos and show you. So it's I think it's a 12-month subscription, or it might be a 10-month subscription. And sorry, there's this warning flashing up on my phone. I don't know what it is. It just keeps saying the system stopped and getting annoyed, but it comes right across the middle of the screen and I can't actually see what I'm showing you. So if I keep looking distracted and going, ooh, then you know what's going on. So anyway, you shouldn't see this because I'm hopefully doing a voiceover at this point. So yeah, you pay £25 a month, so that includes shipping, and you get 2 50-gram, or I think you can choose different options, but I went for the 2 50 grams of double knitting yarn. And so each month I'm getting 2 beautiful skeins of double knitting yarn, and I'm not sure how best to showcase these. Now, what I think is, I think this isn't actually going to go into my stash entry, because obviously each stash entry page can only take 5, and so Blanket Club on its own is going to take a significant number of my pages. I mean, I haven't even found all of them yet when I'm going through my stash. I know there's a significant number. 7, 8, 10, 11, right, 9, 10, 11, 3, 4, 1, 2. Right, so I'm missing a couple. I haven't even found them all yet. And so it's going to take up 2 to 3 pages at least of my book. And what I'm going to do, the reason I'm not going to put these in my stash entry is because they're all meant to go together, they're all a gradient, and they're all going to go into one project. So I'm never going to dive into this for anything else. They're either going to be a blanket, or they're going to be a faded sweater, maybe 2 faded sweaters. We'll see how we go. So that's not going to go in. The other thing that's not going to go in is my self-striping, like this from Fiberpunk. It's my very good friend Marcus. I love him to pieces. So this was, what was this one? I haven't got a name on this one. I think it's the Christmas one. Mrs. Claus's knickers or something. Santa's wife's knickers, something like that. Santa's bloomers, I don't know. But anyway, I've got Alphabet's knickers. That's definitely Alphabet's knickers. Now, the reason they're not going in my stash entry is because, again, I'm typically only going to do socks with them because I love doing self-striping socks. So I don't ever really need to flick through my stash entry and see if I've got something suitable for a project. So I'm going to keep these in a separate box. The other reason I'm not going to use these in the stash entry is because, again, to show off all the different colours, I would have to cut a significant amount of the yarn, and I really, really don't want to do that. I don't want to end up cutting chunks out of my yarn by accident. So self-striping and things that are like one big project, like the Blanket Club, are not going into the stash entry. Whew. And to be fair, I don't think there would ever be a way that anyone could ever come up with a suitable way of recording that in a book form. So so there we are. So there are limitations, but I'm absolutely loving this. And we also pay a bit of attention to the fact that there is no bleeding. I'm using a calligraphy pen, but you can't see the ink through there at all, which makes me very excited to try other things from a Stationery Geek. Oh, okay, so, oh, toes. The floor is just covered in fibre and fluff at the moment, so I thought I would share my progress, but change the backdrop slightly. So here's where I am. I've almost finished my 10th or 11th page. I did actually just have a little break. I hung out with some podcasts, which was really nice. I miss them in real life dreadfully, the ones that I know. But yeah, so this is what it's looking like at the moment. Now, obviously the ends are a bit all over the place. Some of them are longer than others, and I need to maybe think about putting them through. But this is where we're at now. At kind of, I'm going to call it the halfway point, because 4-ply is definitely my biggest stash. But I've also got some lace as well. So we've got chunky, and all of these, apart from this one, have a project to go with them. So I'm feeling really pleased about that. And then Aran weight, again, most of them have projects in mind. More Aran weight. I've got a surprising amount of the Debbie Bliss Falkland Merino Aran. Still Aran weight. Now this has really surprised me. I didn't think I had anywhere near this much Aran yarn. So when I was sorting it all out, that was a bit of a shock. But actually out of it, there's quite a few sweaters quantities in there as well. And then we still, yeah, now we're starting to come on to DK. And this is where I started to have a bit of an issue, because this one here, this green one, is a self-striper. And obviously you can't actually tell anything about the colour from that little bit. So that's why I've made the decision that all my self-striping yarns are going to go somewhere separate. I don't really need to record them in my stash. I only tend to use them for socks. I might be brave and use one for a baby garment for Pip. I'm not sure, but we shall see. So I've got my husband to take out. So this is all DK, more DK, penultimate page of DK, final page of DK. So you can start to see actually there's a bit more of a pattern here in the colours anyway. Sorry, my hair gets everywhere. Blues and naturals and things like that. 4-ply is what I'm really excited about. It's going to be the most fun to do. But having got my husband to just take out the DK, I've discovered that I actually have 2 DK yarns here that aren't accounted for. Now these are the Perth Collab Club, which I'm taking part in. My yarn is up for pre-order at the moment. I'll flash a picture of it on the screen in case you haven't seen it. And this is Effulgent Reckoning by Rusty Ferret. And this is A Cautionary Tale by Dye Candy. This is my first ever Rusty Ferret yarn. It's not going to be my last. And I really love Dye Candy. Dye Candy is one of my first loves, along with Truly Hooked. So I'm not sure what's going to happen with these, because again, you can see the issue. Sorry, some very excited children outside. You can see the issue. They are laughing. I promise you those children are laughing. All right, it's a hot summer's day and the window's open. So I think they need to be things on their own. I'm just not sure what. Part of me is thinking that this might actually go with, well, that'd be a hell of a clash, but I think it'd be fabulous, the new sound that I've got from Dye Candy. So we shall see. Anyway, now I'm going to lay out some of the 4-ply. So my love for Truly Hooked is on full show here. These 2 were actually from, I should say, 3, and there is another one of these Expecto Patronums around as well somewhere. These 4 were from club boxes that she did, so they're mystery skeins. These 2 I bought to do the Juniper Tea, which is her design in, and this one is 80s Tree Lights, which was meant to be Julia's Christmas present last year. I'm hoping to get them done for her this year. And this was the Christmas Eve box from Truly Hooked, which amazingly enough goes beautifully with a yarn that I now cannot put my hands on. Here we are. It's amazing how close they are. So this again was another surprise box that came out at a similar time. So there's no, like, it's just pure lucky chance. And I love the fact they go together so well. And this one is by Nora George and it's Snowdrop. And this was bought for me by my good friend Jo around Lara's birthday time in memory of my daughter. Because her flower, my daughter's flower, is the Snowdrop. But I just love how well those 2 go together. It's just amazing to me. And also Stranded Dye Works is another love of mine. So I've got a couple of hers. I think this is one of her charity ways. This is one that I've admired for so long. Ocean Rainbow. I've got Memcien there. I've got Perth Exclusive. So yeah, absolutely loving those. Now these ones here are pretty special. These are actually from Wool Swap, and I've got a swatch card somewhere that my Wool Swap buddy put with them, and I think some of them are DK rather than 4-ply. So before I move on to the 4-ply completely, I'm going to try and find my swatch card and sort that out. So these are all Norwegian yarns that I haven't used before, and I was so excited to get this package from Wool Swap. So yeah, I've just got to figure out what they are and actually start doing something with them. So what's fun about this is it's making me look at and think about my stash differently. There's a jumper that's just been released, and I saw someone she's knitted my yarn before, and I'm trying to think now who it was, but she shared her version of the sweater, and it's different coloured stripes. And so just looking at this, if I take those out, I'm thinking, you know, these could go really well together in stripes and be a really nice striped jumper. I need to look and see if I've got enough to do it, but I mean there's no reason why I can't add in other tones as well. Let's see, I went to go for vintage fairy light, vintage Christmas, no, not the other one, 80s tree lights then, but that's no good because that belongs to Julia. But it is making me look at my stash slightly differently and think about, you know, what I could actually put together to make a project. I mean, for example, this one from Lovebugs Yarns wouldn't look amiss in that lot. You'd probably want something like, it'd need to go like that, I think. But yeah, I mean, that would work. That would be a really nice sweater. So it's fun to actually get your stash out like this and have a really good look at it. So this one is Lovebugs Yarns, which is by Deanna, and it's a BFL Twisty Sock. And this one is also the same base, and this one is the same base. These two are slightly different base, but they're all 4-ply, and that could look really, really nice. I don't know what colour I'd put in between them. I don't know if I go bold or if I go for something different. I could put the grey between them, or I've got some of this Issachar, which might work. Or I could go totally crazy and put orange between them. Might look quite striking. So yeah, there's loads of options, and I'm really thinking differently about my stash. All thanks to actually the process of cataloguing it here, which is exciting. So now I'm getting excited because this is another combo that could work. And actually these are all the same base. So they are all, well, that's just a high twist. But so they're all high twists, they'd all work in the same way. So that one's Dye Candy. This one I believe is Dye Candy. It might be Stranded. That's definitely Stranded. And that one's Truly Hooked. So 3 of my favourite humans in a sweater together. That sounds quite sinister. But having 3 beautiful things like that together in a sweater just makes my heart sing. And I kind of think that sweater has to happen. I'm going to have to look at it and have a think about it. I mean, I don't know when it will happen, of course, but it's got to be a thing, right? So I want to talk stashes. I want to know how yarns come into your stash, and you know, what makes you stash them rather than use them straight away. So there are a couple of different reasons, I think, and I'm going to go into this in a bit more detail, but I'm going to do a mini skein vlog on stashing yarn and our purchasing habits. So I'd love you to interact with this down below. One of the things that comes to my mind is it's pretty, it's a one-off, and you're never going to be able to get it again. It could be a, whatchamacallit, a souvenir from going somewhere, or it could be a gift. So I mean, these here are all in my stash for different reasons. So this one, Melted Moglet Dye Works, she doesn't dye anymore, but it's Eva, Perth Festival of Yarn, and she dyed this and gave it to me, Lara's mummy, which is so special. I mean, it's waiting for the perfect project. Until then, it's staying in my stash, and I'm loving it and appreciating it. This one, Nora George Yarns Snowdrop, was chosen for me by my lovely friend Jo. It's the January 2021 Blanket Club colourway, but it fits, it's Lara's flower is the Snowdrop. This one, my only skein of Love Bugs Yarns by Deanna, was a Christmas gift from my friend Marcus. This one, For the Love of Yarn, Respect is for Everyone, was dyed by Callum, one of her cherubs, and Jules got it for me for my birthday, knowing how much I wanted it and wanted to support them. And this one is just waiting for me to actually do something with it. John, Easy Knitter, helped me choose this for my husband because he wanted his own pair of Lara socks. And so I wanted to make him some, but choosing the right colour was really tricky. So I shared with him, you know, what the song for our daughter was, and he chose this one for me, which is Rum Punch. And it's got beautiful colours of sunrise and sunset in. So, I mean, these are just 5 skeins here that happen to be in my stash for different but similar reasons, if that makes sense. Let me know why yarns are in your stash. Okay, so here we are, some 10 plus hours later. There are bits of yarn all over the floor, and I have completed my stash of entry book. That is 100 different yarns and colourways. And I'm not finished. I didn't get all the 4-ply done. I'm just a few shy of that, and the lace. So, whoops. Overall, I think this product is really, really good. I love it. I love how easy it is to use. I would like space to put the yarn blends in. And it would be nice if it said yards/meters. But other than that, I'm pretty happy. You should get your own. So there you have it, folks. I hope you have enjoyed this slightly unusual podcast from me this week. Back to normal content next week with knitting, crochet, sewing and more. In the meantime, if you've enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the thumbs up. Join in the conversation in the comments below. It's be great to find out about your stash habits or lack thereof. And if you've got any top tips for recording your stashes too. In the meantime, there is a link down at the bottom, and don't forget you can use codes MidnightsFriends10 to get 10% off across the entire Stationery Geek range. Have a lovely rest of day, rest of week, and I will see you very, very soon. Take care. Bye!